Cynhadledd, and thank you for joining me. Today, I want to talk about our groundbreaking basic income pilot for care leavers in Wales, which starts on Friday. As we all know, all across Wales and the UK, we're facing an unprecedented cost of living crisis. Prices are rising and people are struggling to pay their bills and make ends meet. We're doing everything we can to support people through this crisis. Our policies are designed to help people with the everyday costs they face and put money back in their pockets. And we're targeting support towards those who need it most. Our basic income pilot focuses on one of the most vulnerable groups in society, young people leaving care. Young people leaving care face significant barriers to achieving a successful transition into adulthood, but they have the same rights to be supported as they grow into young, independent adults. We want all young people in Wales to have the best possible chance to fulfil their potential. The state acts as a guardian of young people who are leaving care, and we believe it's right and logical to support them as they start their adult lives. This pilot is a direct investment in this group of young people and is designed to give them the space to thrive while also helping to secure their basic needs. It's absolutely right and fundamental to our principles as a Welsh Government to ensure we support and invest in the future of young people in Wales, and our basic income pilot for care leavers does just that. The reason why we've decided to work with care leavers is because of the unique set of challenges they face. By supporting this group with the security of a regular, guaranteed and unconditional monthly income as they leave care, we hope we will allow them to consider their lives beyond day-to-day concerns and look to their future. This basic income pilot follows other investments in care experienced young people. We've topped up the Child Trust Fund payment for children in care, exempted young care leavers from paying council tax, and set up the St David's Day Fund. The pilot builds on this foundation. All the young people who take part will get the support they need to give them the best possible chance to make their way in life. Crucially, we want to ensure the transition out of care is easier and more positive. Now I want to turn to the details of the pilot. We've allocated £20 million to the pilot for it to run over 3 years. And it is our intention that young people leaving care who turn 18 during a 12-month period in all parts of Wales will be offered the opportunity to take part in the pilot. We expect more than 500 young people to be eligible to join. Participation will not be mandatory, so exact numbers won't be finalised until the end of the first year. But everyone taking part in the pilot will receive a payment of £1,600 before tax every month for 2 years. HMRC and DWP have confirmed the payment will interact with the tax and benefits system and will be recognised as income. We're disappointed the DWP has not worked with us from the start to ensure a smooth and simple process to support these care leavers. We've worked with care-experienced young people through the process of developing this pilot. Their questions, concerns, and ideas have been critical in shaping the pilot and ensuring it will work for all those taking part. And as the pilot progresses, we will continue to listen, to learn and adapt based on the feedback from the young people taking part. We want all our young people to have the best possible chance in life and fulfill their absolute potential. Our basic income pilot is an incredibly exciting project, helping a generation of young people to find financial stability. Too many people leaving care face too many barriers to achieving their hopes and ambitions, such as problems getting a safe and stable home, to securing a job, building a fulfilling career. We hope a basic income will help overcome some of these barriers and limitations and provide these young care leavers security to explore opportunities for their future adult lives. This pilot will offer important learning about what a basic income may offer in terms of benefits and challenges. It is a time-limited pilot which will enable us to evaluate and assess the impact of the policy on care leavers as a group. and offer wider insight about the value of basic income as an approach. Listening to everyone who takes part will be crucial, determining the success of this globally ambitious project. Thank you, Diolch. I'll now take questions. So can I start with Catrin from BBC Wales?
Amanda, thank you. On this basic income pilot, it's a £20 million experiment, essentially. It's an expensive experiment. What would success look like at the end of it? And do you acknowledge that as an experiment, it could all fail too?
Well, diolch yn fawr am question. Thank you for your question. It's really important that we see this basic income pilot as an opportunity to invest in those young care leavers who, as we know and as the evidence is clear, has faced so many obstacles in their lives as they're growing up. And this is now the transition into adulthood. So, you know, what we see in terms of success is for those young people who already are saying, those who are taking part and who've helped us with this pilot, that this actually shows that we trust them, that we believe in them, that they can actually now look to the future with optimism, that they can think about their job, their education opportunities, you know, and, you know, just the way in which they've responded so far to say that this doesn't, they're often on a cliff edge in terms of what happens next. So many young people have their parents around them and communities, families, extended families, helping them through these difficult times. But we now know from talking to care experienced young people what a difference this will make. So we hope that these young people, and of course in very different circumstances across the whole of Wales, a diverse group of young people, by the end of this pilot, we'll see that they have their futures mapped out for them because of the confidence, because of the support we've given them as well throughout this pilot. I mean, this is an experiment. We're not alone globally. Basic income pilots taking place. But there's a great deal of interest and evidence already that it improves well-being, self-esteem, confidence, but crucially, it's that financial stability, particularly at these tough times, the cost of living crisis.
Diolch. Can I now turn to housing Ukrainian refugees? We were told that using Erith centres to host Ukrainian refugees was due to come to an end shortly. But newyddion, BBC Cymru has been told that Llangrannog and Cardiff Erith centres have received what they call a last-minute request from the Welsh Government to extend the arrangement into the summer. Can you confirm that and explain why that last-minute request has been made? And on the June pause in visa applications from Ukraine, will that now restart in July?
Well, we are so proud of our welcome centres and the welcome that they've given to Ukrainian refugees who are fleeing from the most horrific conflict. And we see the terrible news overnight of that attack on innocent civilians in a retail centre. But we have already got, in the figures, published figures last week, 3,000 people with sponsors in Wales who've arrived in Wales in the UK, and over 1,000 of those have Welsh Government as a super sponsor for our welcome centres. We have welcome centres all over Wales, and we actually had another one opening yesterday because they're all meeting the needs of Ukrainian refugees. And we, of course, visited First Minister and I last week to see the wonderful work, the welcome that's been given at the Erith, but I've also visited other welcome centre working so closely with their local authorities, their health boards. So, I mean, this is not news at all. This is about us working day by day to see, have we got the capacity, looking towards opening other welcome centres and very much welcoming the fact that the Erith can continue to provide this support as we welcome Ukrainian refugees. And, you know, we've got to recognise that this is something where we also have to support and thank those families, those households across Wales who are also providing that support.
And sorry, just on the visa pause in applications.
Well, what we have done is we've just paused for a few weeks our super sponsor route because all our welcome centres are full to capacity. As I said, more welcome centres opening. Of course, the fact is that our refugees who already had got their visas didn't stop their arriving. It's people who are actually now fulfilling their homes, signing up for Homes Ukraine, who we paused. So we're well over the 1,000 we said we originally would support. We've got to do this responsibly. And I think that's the way forward, to do this responsibly, to make sure that we can give the right welcome to all of those who are coming, and then to ensure that we can increase the capacity and indeed ask people again to open up their homes to help us with responding to the refugee response for Ukraine. It's vitally important that that's the way forward. Thank you. So can I move to Adrian Masters, ITV Wales?
Thank you, Minister. Can you say how you as a Welsh Government, if the Welsh Government is acting as the guardian for these young people, how you will help them with things like budgeting and dealing with what for a lot of them will be the most money they've ever had?
Well, thank you very much, Adrian. I mean, I think you've met some of these care experienced young people, some who actually won't be eligible because they're older, who help sort of guide us and advise us on this. And we listen to them right from the word go. What is it you would need and help in terms of support if you were to take part in this scheme? And they said we would need financial guidance and advice, but also access to all of the other opportunities that young people will have. So there's, within our 20 million budget, there's 2 million, particularly around giving from advice on financial support and guidance through our single advice fund, already experienced with working people, with people who need that kind of advice. It's crucial also that, you know, they are going to be supported by their local authorities. They still have leaving care advisors, they have social workers working with them, but they'll be plugged into things like the Young Person's Guarantee up to the age of 25. So, you know, we're confident that we've actually listened to care experienced young people and responded with this bespoke package of support.
And how would you support them when it comes to the end of the 2-year period? Because that could prove to be quite a difficult transition.
Well, it's very important that we evaluate this experiment, this basic income pilot, from day one. And that evaluation will include the young people themselves, the feedback that they will give us, and through their advisors. We're working very closely with Voices from Care Cymru, which has worked with care experienced young people and have care experienced young people as trustees. So throughout the 2 years, they will be getting that advice and support. It will feed back about how we then move towards the end of the two-year period. But also there will be specific one-to-one sessions in terms of financial advice, for example. I mean, we obviously hope and anticipate that we will see that these young people will be very settled as a result of this financial stability they've got, whether it's into work, education, apprenticeships, even setting up their own businesses. It's given them confidence, the financial stability that so many young people get from their families and friends. But these young people haven't had them. And as they've said, and you will have heard them, Adrian, it's about us giving them that opportunity, empowering them to actually look to the future. It's a kickstart, I think, as young people have said today. Thank you very much. Now, can I very much welcome Evie Breeze from Big Issue? And I think, Evie, probably this is the first time you've joined a press conference. Are you aware, Evie?
Hi there. Not the first time ever, but the first time here. So thank you for the welcome. My question is that, the first question is, so I believe the income is 19,000 a year for a 2-year period. How do you plan to deal with rising inflation and the cost of living so that the income maintains its value?
It's very important that we've had to cost this pilot. It is an experiment over 2 years, and get it in the budget as well. It's a 20 million investment. And, you know, everyone will get that £1,600 per month. It's actually one of the most generous of basic income schemes across the whole of the world. You probably know that, Evie, already. So we believe we at least have tried to ensure that that this pilot and this income injection into given that financial stability will help them with a really great start in life. But also, There's lots of other things that we're doing in terms of tackling the cost of living crisis. We've been winter fuel support payments. We're doing work for fuel vouchers for prepayment. People on prepayments, they don't have to pay council tax. But that was before this scheme was developed. So, we will make sure that they're passported to every other benefit that's available in Wales, which includes the most generous student supports scheme in the UK. And of course, we still pay educational maintenance allowance in Wales. That was scrapped in England a long time ago by the UK government. So, we're going to we'll get every bit of advice and support to make sure they can be also buffered. But, basically, this is a good start for our care leavers as they enter transition.
Thank you. Just for clarification, sorry, were you saying that the care leavers that are participating in this scheme will also be able to claim other benefits such as the fuel allowance?
Well, clearly there are some eligibility criteria for some of our other schemes. We're just about to actually launch the next phase of our winter fuel support scheme, for example. But they will have, in terms of cost of living, there are many ways in which we are supporting people in Wales. We don't have powers over tax and benefits in Wales. That's the UK government. The UK government has not cooperated with us as we would wish. We don't want this basic payment to be taxed, for example. And yet they're taxing it, and also they're unfairly assessing it in terms of eligibility for universal credit. So we would still turn to the UK government and said, look at our scheme, learn from it, and we hope then you will benefit from it, because it's about care experience, some of the most vulnerable young people in the country being supported by the Welsh Government. Thank you, Evie. So can I go to Caitlin Parr from LBC?
Thank you, Minister. Good afternoon. Is this funding just the Welsh Government basically compensating for this specific group of young people essentially being neglected after they've left care up to now?
Well, I think what's very important, and as I've said it in my opening remarks and in my statement, I will be saying this afternoon, we've always valued our care, our young people in care. We have a particular St David's Day award and sponsor for our young people. They don't have to pay council tax. We have ways in which our child trust funds are boosted for them. We work closely with our local authorities there, and we have done, to develop this pilot. And we know from their circumstances, we know that they are vulnerable, that they have been through tough times, but we also know, and if you've read any of the comments that have come from young people already about this pilot, that some of them have had wonderful care. We know that through foster caring for our care system here in Wales, which is, local authorities are corporate parents. And so we believe this is actually continuing our investment in our young people as they go into that very difficult transition. We are focusing on them. We want them to have the same start in life that other children who have been brought up in more family stability. And that's why we're making this investment.
Brilliant, thank you. And just on the restart of the super sponsor scheme, we've been speaking to a Ukrainian gentleman this morning who's living in Swansea at the moment on refugees being welcomed into Wales. He said that it's effectively a postcode lottery at the moment as to who has access to opportunities in their new community, like work or clubs and groups for their children and English language courses. Will the funding sort of improve over the coming weeks and provide them with more opportunities to integrate comfortably into their new communities all across Wales?
Well, we have a strong welcome for our Ukrainian refugees. We are a nation of sanctuary. We welcomed Afghan refugees last summer, and not just all those organisations like the ERA. So many people have come forward, third sector voluntary groups, to care and support our Ukrainian refugees. But I have to say, local authorities have played a fantastic role ensuring that Ukrainian refugees do get access to all those services. Can I make a very strong point here? We are funding and supporting our welcome centres. We don't get a penny from the UK government for that. We are consistently asking the UK government to fund, for example, the families who are coming forward, who are not part of Homes for Ukraine, but actually family connections. Not a penny is going to support local authorities to help those families. So we are paying our way because we believe in supporting Ukrainian refugees and families. And of course, there's some fantastic things going on with English as a second language. I met some Ukrainian families in my constituency on Saturday. They were going to ESOL classes today, but then volunteers were coming forward from local groups like the Soroptimists and doing one-to-one support. The way we're investing in a summer of fun, of activities for our children, young people. All Ukrainian refugees and their children will be able to benefit from them. And of course, they're coming into our schools, are registering with our GPs. But, you know, we do say that the UK government should also be supporting our tremendous efforts, but we are the nation of sanctuary here in Wales. Thank you. Will Hayward.
Thank you, Minister. No one would begrudge care leavers getting support, I don't think. But in May 2021, the Welsh Government said it wanted to test the concept of universal basic income. But a key part of UBI is that universal element. This study will do little to test the impact, for instance, on people who are in long-term employment or those with caring responsibilities. Was this the best way to fulfil your stated aim of testing universal basic income?
Well, clearly we had to look at what we could do, what the resources we could put into this, and look at, as you know, Will, the most vulnerable people who could benefit from us testing the basic income premise, that we can, if we can give a basic income to people, particularly a vulnerable group of people, then see what impact it has on their life, their circumstances, and their future prospects. I mean, I might very much welcome the fact that we have a external steering group, including all those engaging in Wales and UBI projects, but also that it's chaired by Sir Michael Marmot, who's, you know, an absolute lead in the poverty field, and Guy Standing, who's done a lot of work on UBI, and they've backed the fact that we're focusing on this cohort. I was also very pleased with the Petitions Committee that they looked into this, and that they asked us to make sure that it was reaching out to all our care experienced young people, that we work closely with them to get this pilot right. So, you know, this is a basic income pilot, Will, that we're taking forward to look at how we can, within our resource and with our commitment, look at the needs of this most vulnerable group of people, young people. Of course, they're drawn from the whole of Wales as well. And let's learn those lessons from this basic income pilot, and also share it across the world, because there's many other pilots looking at in the same way at certain cohorts.
Thank you. Many people in Wales are really feeling the pinch during the cost of living crisis. What do you say to the people who criticise the use of tens of millions of pounds of public money when the Welsh NHS has enormous waiting lists and many local services are starved of funds?
Well, we made a commitment to pilot a basic income, not just in our manifesto for the elections last year, but and then subsequently into our programme of government. So we feel we got the mandate to take this forward. But also, I think people will understand as they listen and learn about the lives of young people who are in care, that this actually is an investment in public services, isn't it? Because, you know, if this 20 million over 3 years give this stability and these opportunities to these young people, and if you read their stories, they want to run businesses, they want to have careers, they want to have jobs, they want to have families. They don't want to be homeless, they don't want to be in the criminal justice system, they don't want to be costing the state money because of failure. So, you know, we believe this is an investment in public services for our young people. And I think people in Wales have that kind of compassionate outlook and recognise that we should do all we can to support our young people in those circumstances. Thank you, Will. Can I go on to Tom Magner from Carers World Live?
Thank you very much indeed, Minister. Can I pick you up on, you appear to be singing the praises of local authorities. For the first question, I put to your health and economy ministerial colleagues the issue of the failure of the Welsh local authorities to process unpaid carers' needs assessments in accordance with their legal duties. Do you accept from me that such delay and failure of local authorities to act promptly, efficiently and compassionately is not socially just?
Well, clearly our local authorities have got statutory duties, as you know, Tom, under the Social Services and Wellbeing Act, to undertake those assessment of our unpaid carers. And, you know, our Deputy Minister for Social Services, Julie Morgan, working very closely, as you know, with all our local authorities and care agencies to ensure that those assessments can take place. But I'm sure you will, Tom, have welcomed the payment to unpaid carers that Julie Morgan announced, the £500, and also more money as well to help with the assessment of their needs.
Thank you very much indeed for that. You drew attention to the money that's been allocated to unpaid carers. Given that 96% of care across Wales is provided by unpaid carers, shouldn't they be at the heart of Welsh Government's social justice thinking and policy, rather than on the margins where occasional small amounts of money are handed out, often with complicated qualifying provisions, and a drop in the ocean compared to how much unpaid carers save the Welsh Government every year?
Well, you know, unpaid carers are absolutely the forefront of our commitment. For my commitment as Minister for Social Justice, working very closely with my colleagues in health and social services, but across the board. Now, what I would say, Tom, that I think some of the initiatives that we are developing to tackle the cost of living crisis within our powers, don't forget tax and benefit doesn't lie within our powers, tax and benefits, will help unpaid carers, because we are not only the cost of living payments that have gone out this year to people in bands A to D, £150, the £200 that went out to those who were eligible for the winter fuel support scheme over winter. There will be unpaid carers who are on prepayment meters and off-grid. They're going to benefit from the £4 million I announced 3 or 4 weeks ago to work with the Fuel Foundation to get fuel vouchers. We will do everything we can to help those who are at the sharp end, particularly, as you say, of caring. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.